Ben Bowers.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, I'm a level 2 from Denver. I'm going to be talking about feedback today. So there are several different ways that we have feedback, ways we give it, different ways that if players have feedback for us that we can give it. Just kind of go over some things, and I have some scenarios, just kind of see how people would react and give feedback to a judge or something in that situation. So the first thing we do, main place for judges to give feedback, is Judge Center. Everyone's gone to the Judge Center. You have the reviews button. You can just create a review. Important things, be sure you have the person's name correctly, or even better, have their DCI number. So the last thing you want to do is write a review for the wrong person, like the wrong John Smith, and then it's like, the guy's like, why didn't I ever get this review? Or I don't know, something like that. So DCI numbers are good. So you put that in, it'll just find them by their name. We also have, there's the contact the regional coordinator link on the judge blog. If you feel it's either an issue that it needs to be dealt by someone higher up than you, like if it's a situation with another judge or player has a situation, you can always direct them to your regional coordinator. For at least the majority of us, it goes to Jeremy. If you're in a different region, you know who your regional coordinator is, you just go to whatever region they put in, there's a link there that shows them. There's also the judge feedback form. So if you see a judge, you have any feedback that you think, you can go to the committee, a judge being like unsporting or doing something that's against judge. You can go there. I will have I'll upload a link to that because the URL is incredibly long. But after the conference, it'll be something up there that'll have a link to everything. Also, the last resort, Andy Hecht, judge manager for Wizards. You can email him. You should go through all of the other steps, and if the player's still incredibly unhappy, he's kind of our last resort. He's just probably going to push it back to the regional coordinators. But if they feel like demand to talk to someone at Wizards, you can always give them his email. His email will be on there. It's just andy.hecht@wizards.com. So overviews, basically gone over kind of basic with why we do it. Important thing when you're doing, if you're going to review a person, write down notes, because you don't want to get it back a couple days later and just be kind of like, so there were things I know I wanted to talk to them about, but I don't remember. You take notes, you can go back, you have specific examples for people. You did very well in this situation, you had like this tough ruling, and you handled it this way, or this kind of player got to become more aggressive to you. Here's maybe ways you can do better next time. The specific examples are very good. General things are less helpful because it doesn't give someone specific things to work on. It's just kind of like you did a good job, not really helping anybody. Why giving feedback is important? Everyone here wants to run good Magic tournaments. Like one of the reasons we probably got into this is because you wanted your store to have better events, you wanted your local events. Everyone can always be better. No judge is ever perfect. Probably every tournament you learn something to make yourself as a better judge. So a good way to do that is feedback, especially when we're in a group like this where we have people from all over. So like I was raised in Colorado, so we have a certain way of doing things. Adina in Wyoming might have something else, or some of the people like from Washington. There's just ways of kind of providing things maybe you hadn't thought about, or different things you can provide. Players, and we want players to have a good experience. If we talk amongst ourselves and provide feedback, we can give them a more unified experience. So if a player plays in a tournament one place and goes across the country and plays, it's going to be the same experience. Not going to be like, I don't like playing in this state or whatever because the judges are slow, they don't pay attention, or whatever. Whatever the issues are, we can provide a better experience for the players. Ultimately, we want our players to be happy, because if there's no one playing Magic, there's no reason for us to exist as judges. You have to think about when you provide feedback, both good and bad feedback is very important. But if you have to provide someone with bad feedback, you don't want to ruin their tournament in such a way that sometimes if people receive poor feedback, it'll send them in a spiral, or they'll shut down and stop judging. So there's a very particular way you should deal with it. If you have to provide bad feedback, like you want to generally try to start with something that is like positive, like I liked these things you did, but this is something you need to work on, and you want to provide the feedback in such a way that it's like these are things you can work on. Yes.
I think what you're trying to say is constructive criticism.
Yes. But yes, frame it in ways like you can work on these things and we will make you better, not you did these things and I never want you to judge me again. Like you might have to be in a situation where you do that, but that's kind of its own. Like if the judge is terrible or has done something like horrible, like we have to provide them the feedback, but generally almost everyone you work with, you'll want to have them continue judging, but you just have to provide them. You don't want to just be attacked. You don't want a person to feel like you're attacking them because they're going to shut down. They're not going to listen to the feedback. They're just going to be like, this judge hates me. I don't ever want to work with them again. Just not. It's not what we want to do. On the other side, always try to find something that someone can work on. No one has a perfect tournament. Just all positive feedback is not helpful. Really, like try to be like you did everything good, but in this one ruling you could have handled it this way. You didn't notice this one thing. You were a little slight. Just something that everyone wants to get better. And providing feedback of just like you did great, good working with you. It isn't really you can never say productive to helping people. Yes.
Something that actually Tasha Jameson said to me that was very helpful to me was, is it kind? Is it true? Is it helpful? And if you always follow those rules, that will make your feedback more useful to the person, because it's not true, it's not gonna, and if it's not kind, there's no reason, even when you're telling them something they did wrong, there's no reason for you to be mean about it. And is it helpful? Something that's going to help them to be better.
Yes, and it's like bad feedback, specific examples are very important there. We had in Vegas, one of the judges I was working with, he had the team lead and I had to sit down and give them pretty negative feedback. So before that happened, we got together and talked, and we had very specific examples we wanted to talk to the judge about. And like it wasn't an easy conversation. No one likes basically telling someone like you didn't do a very good job. You have a lot of things to work on, but with specific examples, at least the team lead and I felt that the conversation went well enough. Hopefully this guy's going to go back to his local events and kind of work on these things, and next time we see him at GP, he's not going to have these issues. So who should give feedback? Always give feedback to other judges. If you're working with them, try to have something to say. If you're playing in an event and you see something that you think could be done differently, you can do it discreetly, like talk to the judge. If you feel that in some way you could help them, even when we're playing, we're still judges, we still want tournaments to run better. We'll talk to the judge kind of like after your round's done, like, hey, I think this could have been handled better, or here's some ways you can make your announcements better, or basically any situation. You can also encourage players to give you feedback. Sometimes, especially if you're a judge who doesn't play that often, you sometimes lose kind of touch with the competitive player experience. If you get the feedback from them, they might provide you, hey, this thing you've always been doing, like it's not either not helpful to the tournament or just here's a better way to do it. Yeah, Justin.
If you're playing in a tournament and you notice something that you want to give some feedback on, even if you don't have time or don't have to talk to them directly, you can still submit a review as a player.
Yes.
Judge that you're other judge or tournament that you're in.
Yes, even if you're not playing, you're spectating. If you're at an event, you can submit a review of the judge, either positive or negative. Yes.
I find that it's very helpful to give face-to-face feedback, partly because everything's fresh in your memory, and there's also a good chance that you're going to clarify things that may be untrue or misunderstood. Having that discussion can go a long way to writing a more accurate feedback. And the other thing too is you can have, the conversation can often lead to a benefit of the doubt. No one tries to fail at life. So you can ask, like if you have a really bad judge, hey, we noticed these things, could you tell me why you were doing those? He very may well have been doing the best he knew how to do and had no idea how to do it better. So having that dialogue, that's where you can really help the judge understand there may be better ways to go do it, as opposed to, firing a bomb in the mail.
Yeah, so that was something I was gonna get to, is try to talk to the judge. You might, especially like if you have something negative, like he said, you might have missed something in the interaction, or just people, you don't wanna get this email that says you have a review in the judge center. You go in and it's just this like scathing, like tearing you apart. It's just, it's not good, it's not a good way to provide feedback, it's not a good way to build a community.
Yeah, so even if, if you don't provide feedback online and you think it's, constructive, it's still gonna come out somewhat robotic if you never talk about it. And, if you read it, not understanding what they mean, it can still come out very negative. So I think it should be really encouraged to talk to that person before submitting it. Give them a chance to clarify what's going on. Let them know, hey, I'm gonna give you a room and go over it, and that way you have the opportunity to say your voice.
And also, if you have to write a really negative review, you can reach out to your RC or kind of judge leaders in your community. If someone wasn't involved in the event, just be like, can you read this and kind of see, make sure that it's not just like tearing a person apart, or that it's providing good feedback. And it's helpful to always have another review in the back.
Yeah, it's, especially when writing a review, after you speak to the person, face to face, which I think is always the right thing to do before you write it. When you write it, make sure you proofread it so you take, your emotional involvement out of it. Because if you're a terrible person and your breath stinks and you smell like cheese, that's probably not helpful. So if you just take your emotional connection out of it, just list it.
There's also some great articles online in the different Magic Judge apps that talk about different areas you can focus on. For examples, it's often hardest to write your first one and break the ice. And when we do the exemplar program, they actually put some really good guidance on how to write a good review for the exemplar program. That very much fits in the whole writing a review for an event. You can start looking at key attributes and seeing where those fit in for your review process.
And if you just look in the feedback form itself, there's also the list of things you can focus on. It's just a good idea to even just sit down and look at those and kind of so you get an idea of these are things that Wizards thinks judges kind of maybe can focus on. So you can kind of in the back of your head think, oh, I want to look at these particular things for this event. Yeah.
If you treat it like a job, you're giving them a review. This is your job that day, or however long the event is. So you're going to remember that they're going to also, it's going to be on a resume, especially if you're posting it on the judge thing, because the next person who's going to try to hire for an event is going to look on there. So you don't want your emotion in there. You want to put in what they actually did, what their credits and their discredits are.
And you can get with players, if you provide them the feedback form, sometimes I had a situation in a Star City 5K where I gave a player an incorrect ruling and he was very unhappy about it. So I provided the feedback form, ended up writing this very long review that was pretty much entirely inaccurate. And every single thing he talked about didn't actually happen. Like the ruling that was incorrect happened, but everything surrounding it did not. And it doesn't feel great, but there was just sometimes you kind of have to suck it up. I went to talk to Jeremy, and Jeremy's basically like, yeah, this is clearly, it doesn't make any sense what he's saying. And there's times that it'll happen, players will be upset. If you provide them the feedback and they're really upset, giving them the avenue to kind of get it out, but it's not going to adversely affect you if you did the correct thing. There are times where players are not going to like you, and they need to feel that they can do something or so that someone can hear them. And it's just like dealing with the feedback. It sucks. Getting bad feedback sucks. Try to be receptive. Just try to learn. Don't be defensive. You also, when you have to accept bad feedback, if someone sits you down, they're like, these are things you need to work on. Being receptive to it will make you a better judge. Just like getting pissed off or getting kind of just not paying attention, not going to get better. It's not really helpful, and you also basically just wasted the person's time. Took the time to sit down, and they spend probably time giving bad feedback. It's not easy and not fun. It's just word this in such a way that makes you better, and you're just basically disregarding them. It's like, I don't care what you say, I'm a good judge, or you're wrong in this situation. And you have the same, don't feel bad about giving feedback to higher level judges or judges in higher positions. You might be a level 1 in their first GP, you're involved in a situation where you feel that the head judge did something incorrectly. Talk to them, especially there, talk to them, and if you feel that it was wrong, you can give them the feedback. I felt you didn't interact with this player correctly, you I think you should have looked at this and you didn't. Like, no matter how high up in the judge program you've gone, everyone still has stuff they need to learn. Everyone still wants to provide feedback. So now I'm gonna move on. We're gonna have a couple scenarios. So I'll just kind of give you a scenario if you want to think a little bit, just kind of how you would provide feedback to this judge, kind of what you would do in the situation. So the first one is you have a judge who's very good at rules knowledge. You can ask them any question and they're just there. But in their interactions with the players, they seem very timid. Like kind of they don't feel like they want to go and get judge calls. And they're just kind of very quiet. Almost think that maybe they're afraid of the players. How would you, like what feedback would you provide to the judge and kind of how would you work towards getting them so that they're not that way? You know?
I think I would start out in that case emphasizing their positive skill sets first, saying, look, every time I come over to a ruling, you're doing the right one. So, you should be confident, you should be proud of the knowledge that you have. Second of all, let's say worst case you made a mistake. There's a process to fix that. The players can always appeal. So don't worry about it. If you make it, the players will probably know, and we'll fix it that way. It's gonna be okay.
I think it's also good to know that like you're there to support that person. Because like when I first started judging, I was kind of very timid and I was afraid to make rulings, afraid to make mistakes. And it always helped when I knew that like the other judges on my team really had my back. Like they weren't gonna like mock me or make fun of me because I made a mistake. Like they were really there to help me and to really like make me a better judge. And that they were always gonna have my back if a player was upset with me or I like frustrated with the situation. They'd be right there to kind of swoop in and like help de-escalate it.
Yeah, well, like you said, emphasize that being his knowledge is great, or her knowledge, and after that, just stress parents and competence is important. If you are competent, you tell somebody that island produces red men, and they will believe you if you are competent. But if you tell them that island taps for blue man, that island taps for blue man, they're not going to believe you because you don't sound like you understand what you're saying, and you're confident in what you're saying. So why should I?
Katie.
When I first started judging, I was not very confident, and I got a few reviews that said, be more confident, but that doesn't really tell you how to go about judging. And so it's helpful to give specific examples. Like if they're having problems delivering a specific ruling, you can type in there. One way to sound more confident is to say it exactly like this, and maybe that'll help them. But just saying, be more confident because you don't appear confident is not very good. So giving very specific examples of ways that they can improve that really goes a long way.
Yeah, basically on any feedback, specific example is better than just kind of general. Besides just general, your rules knowledge is good kind of thing. Help the person out, give them examples. Then also go back and look at your reviews. They're like, oh, 6 months ago, I tried to go up to players, I made these rulings, I didn't do well on these rulings, and now my reviews are saying that I am doing well, so they can see their growth within the program. Do you have something you want to say, Justin? Sorry. Okay, so scenario 2, we have you're playing in a tournament. You see the judge comes over and gives your table an incorrect ruling. And basically you notice kind of throughout the night that the judge maybe the rules knowledge isn't really there. You've seen several incorrect rulings, the players maybe a little unhappy. How in that situation would you deal with providing that judge feedback? Yes?
Just a question first. This is like a term for the judge.
Yeah, say it's F and M.
Right.
Yeah.
You should certainly bring up your concerns to them. You should do it discreetly. You shouldn't try to shut them up. They're the judge of the tournament, you're the player. You should try to give them feedback in the same way that we practice as constructive as possible. But certainly bring your concerns up really as soon as you can so that they can try to make corrections before things get out of control.
Also, you can attempt in some cases to help people save a little bit of face by, when they come to your table, for example, with the incorrect ruling, are you sure? I thought it was this way. Would you mind checking? And if they say, no, I don't want to check, then that's what we're going with, and we'll talk it over later. But most judges, especially at F&M or other place where they're not super time crushed, they're going to just hang on a second, let me check. And then they may come back and
I think
check
locally
something
is-
out of date. They'll say, yeah, you'll approve, if not,
Along those lines, in order, just kind of so that you're not showing them up, you can just ask them, can you explain, like, I'm just not quite following that, can you explain a little further with the, can you show me in the comp rules where it says that so that I understand the ruling better? That way, it's not like you're saying, I think you're wrong, it's you're saying, can you back that up? Which makes them look at it and then they might think about it for a minute.
But I would say that's kind of where like locally too, like if you're at an event and you like aren't like familiar with people, it's different, but like locally, I suppose where like having a strong judge community is important too, because I know like Justin pulled me aside at a tournament and said, hey, I think you got that wrong. Like I know because of our relationship, he's not like trying to make me sound stupid or like, he's not like attacking me, he's just saying, hey, I think you need to look at this. So I think that's when your relationship with other judges also becomes really important.
So, raise your hand if you ever made a wrong ruling. Right, it happens. Everybody, I mean, just basically calling out the elephant in the room. Everybody does it, and then eventually if you judge, you're probably going to make a bad call. But no one's gonna memorize every card interaction. There's too many of them, there's errata, there's a lot of things going on in Magic. But what you can do is teach good habits for making rulings. That when you go over, ask the player to clearly explain it, and if the other player's interrupting, say, I'll get to you in a second. Let me hear from him first, and then you can share your case. RTFC works amazing. In fact, there's many times when I've had players say, well, hey, why don't you just read that for me? Oh, wow. Imagine if you read the card all the time. There's some good information printed on them. And especially as you go to the older formats, the erotic oracle becomes almost crucial. You have to have it because the card oftentimes doesn't say what it actually does. And if that's not the case, it doesn't answer right there. A lot of the apps have the rulings on them, the rules specifically, and you'd be amazed at how many times those will actually answer the mechanics questions for you, like spell Skype and electrolyze. Those are ones that can be very helpful if you actually go read those. And let's say it takes 3 minutes to make a ruling to go do it right. What do you have the opportunity to go give? Right, and so there's a process for that too, and the players don't feel bad about it. Just say, hey, recognize it's going to be 3 minutes, I'll give you a time extension.
Also figure there's enough Magic Play interactions probably come up. If you put the 2 card names into Google, we'll probably pull up a thread where someone has asked this question and it's been answered.
I would also caution if you do that, be very careful. Not all sources online are from expert knowledge bases.
Yeah, I mean,
If you like happen to notice like a judge's name or something, you're like, oh, I know this person.
If it's in the gatherer, it's okay.
Yeah.
If it's on a judge blog, it's probably okay. If it's
Well,
some random
it's
Yahoo
like
answer,
a
you might not want to.
Do more research to figure out how to.
Yeah, like as you get farther away from Wizards, it'll be a little more sketchy, but you can get it if you need it. And a lot of the good ones will reference the comp rules themselves, so even if you're not sure, you can just go into this section and do it. There's someone back here who had something. I saw a hand. All right, so we have a little less than 5 minutes, basically. Things to take away, feedback, it's good, it's very important. The entire judge community is based on it, to provide each other feedback. Specific examples, you write things down, you're not going to remember it. You also don't want to just get to the situation where you're trying to think of something specific, don't remember it, and then vaguely put it in there, kind of like make up a situation, like that's not helpful either. Just write things down, make sure you have the correct information, try to talk to the judge. Everyone wants to be better. We all want our tournaments to run flawlessly without any issues. They might have Magic players who weren't actually at our tournaments, but anything that will get messed up will get, if it's possible to mess something up in some way, it'll get messed up at some point. We all have different experience. Just talk to judges, interact. Even if you got through a ruling, you're not 100% sure, go to your local, you have a state Facebook group or the Northwest Judge group. Actually, Jerry has more questions there. But just kind of, you can just interact, talk to, reach out to the higher level judges in your region, your RC. Just talk, be like, hey, I think this is what I got. How would you have handled this situation? Just talk to each other, you just provide kind of basic feedback. We're doing that. Do you have any last questions? before we wrap up?
Yeah, what's like the best way to approach a higher level judge to do a review on?
Basically the same way you would do a regular judge. Like, especially if it's someone, like, let's say it's a head judge of a GP. Try to talk to them when they're not, don't go up to the head judge while they're doing something to run the tournament. Like, running the tournament is the most important job. So you can be like, hey, can I talk to you, like, when you're done? Can I talk to you kind of maybe tomorrow, like when you're not head judging? I have some feedback for you. You're also gonna be like, hey, I would like to talk to you. If it doesn't work at this event, can I get your email? And let me email you so we can talk after the event. Because what you don't want to do is, providing feedback is good, but running the tournament is what's actually important. Like in the moment, we have to make our players happy. We can interact through the internet or even face-to-face later. Yeah.
Also along those lines, one of the higher level judge qualities that you have to become a higher level judge is diplomacy. So if you tell them, if you notice something that you think they can improve, maybe they aren't doing it that way because they know something you don't, but maybe they just hadn't thought of it yet. And so if you tell them something, even if there's a good reason why they do it some other way, they're not gonna be like, oh, well, you're just wrong and go away. They're gonna be like, well, thank you for the suggestion, and, they may explain to you, if at a smaller event this will work great, but at a big event, we can't do this because, and then you both learn something.
What? Oh,
It's just kind of like a mutual respect thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they're never gonna be offended that you gave them feedback.
yeah, and remember, they're still just people.
Yeah.
They're still magic judges. They want exactly the same things we do. They've just gotten to the point where Wizards trust them with more responsibility, but they still want their tournaments to run better. They want their GPs or whatever to go better. Good? Yeah. Great.
Okay, so in my chance to try to get this